Hello.
Hi.
Hey everybody.
Oh my god, I'm hearing myself double. Let me. Oh, it's odd. Okay, there you go. All right. Hello, guys. Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Faces.
Faces.
Okay.
Faces
Yes.
and places and coffee.
All right. So, I had a little rough start to the day, but it's fine.
Just
So we're
some
not gonna
everyday
waste
chaos.
any time, and we're gonna
Yeah.
jump right on into the
We're gonna
discussion.
just, we're just gonna talk about it. Usually we shoot shit for like a half an hour, 40 minutes.
Not
Don't have time
today.
for that right now.
So let's get on started with it. So usually we start off with talking about our favorite moment.
Favorite moments.
So, Sparta, why don't you go ahead and, or Steve, start us off with your favorite moment?
I had a couple. I would say the whole crazy crow lady scene was hilarious. I loved it. And it was just fun. And then the whole smoke grenade thing where Nyx put the smoke grenade under and slashed the tires, that was pretty cute as well.
Pretty badass. Yeah.
It's a pretty
I
dope
would say
moment, that's for sure.
both of those are probably tied for my favorite moments.
Nice, nice. What about you, Fen?
Plus, we have a
Oh,
new
sorry.
safe word, cacaw.
Very true. We do indeed. Shit's ever going down.
Weirdly enough, even though I was not participating in that moment most of the time because of my bane, and it was the first time she ever like felt that my Nyx ever felt that way ever, so far. Um, but the swamp moment, the cacao was epic. We started like a whole like I went back and like rewatched that part because chat was like being hilarious too, and Jess was like, I thought the safe word for vampires was bondage. Like, so there was a bunch of shit happening in chat too. So I was like I was reading chat because I wasn't in the scene. I was like, I'm fuck that. I'm staying back here. I'm not doing anything. But just the full description of the Walmart place downstairs when you guys went down and how weird that character was. Like, honestly, we need to do more with that character because I need to know more about this character.
That's our
Even though
new
I guess,
Walmart.
The crow
yeah,
lady.
the crow lady, the Walmart crow lady.
She's like, you know how in Walmart, like way back, probably like when I was a kid. So you probably don't know Finn because you didn't live in America at that time. But in Walmarts when I was a kid, they would always have like an older person standing at the door, like handing out stickers to like little kids and shit.
Oh, no.
Uh, she's like the
She's like that
sticker
one.
lady for the vampires.
Sounds weird, but okay.
The crow lady didn't know the safe
Didn't
word.
But that
Yeah.
was really funny. I had so many laughs. I had to like just like try to not die while you guys were down there with chat also going crazy because I didn't want to break your immersion and you guys were having already a hard time keeping it together. But as a moment, I think the whole like combat thing where like Nyx is kind of like the reason why we have fucking Travis, guys. I'm just putting it out there. I mean, it is because of Jenna, because I was like, Jenna, please, for fuck's sake, can I just at least see this motherfucker? At least you know where we're going, you know? Like, because I still had Fleetness, so like I would have tried to like go and like she's like, yes, and I'm like, God bless. But you know, I kind of am very satisfied about that. I'm like, I kind of saved the situation, and I am the baby vampire.
Yeah.
Nyx with the save.
Yeah, that was a really tough decision, and we'll dive into that later because I literally thought about it. I've been thinking about it since it happened. So, Mimsy, what about you? What was your favorite moment?
I'll take the crazy crow lady.
I'm glad everybody
Yeah,
liked that because that I just pulled right on out of my ass. Just so you guys know, I had one line of notes for this entire session. My notes were you guys meeting Lindsay and Lindsay telling you that all of the Thin Bloods had been killed. That was my notes for that session. That's it.
Yeah, it sounds like the later sessions that I had with them.
So everything else that happened.
It was like a possible party at this location with this character. Maybe revealing this one character. That's it. That would be it.
I was like, I have no idea what to do for this session. And as we were going on, I was like, okay, I'll give them Travis this session. We'll see what they do with Travis. I felt like it was like a good thing to have Lindsay give them an opportunity to sort of redeem themselves. And I was like, we'll see what they do with us. We'll see how they
totally kicked ass.
Go about. I mean, you almost failed. So you didn't totally kick ass.
What's funny is Sparta already knew about the Thin Bloods being killed.
Yeah, Sparta did already know that.
We never got a chance to talk about it in game.
No, he did already know that information. But I think probably my favorite moment would have been the crow lady too. It was fun to make her. Yeah. She is our first character that's not like gorgeous and nice and everything. She was weird and ugly and gross and she had a weird stutter.
Is it like a nos? Is it a nosy nos? And it's like, nope, it was not a nosy nos.
She's a gangrel.
Oh, no, okay. Is that a gangrel?
Yeah, she's a gangrel. That's
what I was thinking with the crow. I was like, this is a.
There actually is a story behind her that I made now because I made her up in that moment. And then I was like, okay, I'm going to like give her an actual story and explain how she fits into the city. So there is like an actual story for her if she ever comes back into play. I don't know.
Nice. Maybe we'll just like play her story. As a
one shot. The crow lady.
How she became the crow lady.
Yeah.
Right. We definitely have to go shopping there again.
But yeah, she's a gangrel. I made now. Exactly. I made it after the fact. But it's because I liked her so much. I was like, she's a fun character. She's different. She's something different than any of us have experienced. So it's fun. But and the reason why I made her, because I actually thought about making her a nos, but I was like, no, I want to make her a gangrel and incorporate the whole crow thing and whatever. It's like if she's communicating with these animals and whatever.
Nosferatu have animalism too.
Yeah, but I didn't want her to be nos because in this particular city, it's a lot harder for them because there's no like underground system.
Oh,
like,
yeah, 100%.
So usually they don't stay in cities like this because they go to cities where they can mostly travel underground.
When like the majority of the big people or the big kindred are from Ventru and especially Toreador clans, Nos are not really.
Yeah.
They don't like.
They're icky.
Yeah, they don't really fit in this environment. So, I have a whole story going with the gangrels and how the gangrels exist in this city. We just haven't ventured down there far enough to discover that. But there are a handful of gangrels that live in the city that are there for very specific reasons, or they just have very unique sort of situations that sort of allow them to be there. Sort of, yeah. Yeah, my little Tukey butt.
I heard that took.
Right.
A little bookie. Brr. Yeah. Sitting with mama. But so yeah, we'll see what kind of stories. The thing is like, even if I make most of the characters that I just make up on the spot, later, like for her, because I want to make sure that characters that I'm creating on the spot make sense to like the city and like they would actually exist. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But the story that I'm creating with the gangrels, I'm like, okay, this could work as to like why this lady is here. But those types of like little side stories, I guess, are things that don't come into play in just regular role play. So it's just like, well, if this makes sense to explain, then I'll explain it. But if not, then it might just be a mystery. So we'll see where the story goes with little side stories like that, like the gangrels, for example. Like, for instance, Sparta's whole family, like all his uncle and cousins. Well, not all of his cousins live in New Orleans, but
a handful
a
couple.
They do. Yeah, a few of them do. And so it's kind of like, how did they get here? Like, how are they still here with all of like the bad blood that happened? And it's like, there's a lot of history behind that. But those people, just like the Malkavians, they're so like in the shadows and not in the forefront of the city that exploring their stories is a little bit more difficult. You know what I mean? But yeah, anyway. So we started off with everybody meeting up and talking about sort of catching up after their vacation. And I think it's so funny. I loved how awkward the energy was between everyone, because I feel like it was so fitting, like for this group of people who were like kind of all thrusted into this situation together and like didn't really want to be in this situation to begin with. And all of this bad shit has been going on for like weeks. And then they're like told to go on a break to basically get away and process it. And when they come back, it's like this awkward, like, it's kind of like whenever you're like a freshman in high school and you have like spring break, but you haven't had enough time to like get to know everyone. So you come back from spring break and it's just kind of like awkward because you're like, well, we're back, but we're not all friends yet. You know what I mean? Like you haven't, you haven't had enough time.
Perfect.
No, it's like you need to remember why you guys connected to each other. And like sometimes, especially because like of what this coterie has gone through, I feel like there were a lot of emotions, very intense.
Mm-hmm.
So, depending on the personality, like one can choose to like just remember the worst parts of it instead of the good parts, you know, and focus on that. So like that makes the distance grow even more between one another.
Right.
And I think we had a balance of both, focusing on the bad and the good.
Mm-hmm.
The awkwardness was perfect, and it fit the situation.
Yeah. I think so too.
It makes sense. Yeah.
I think that one thing that I am hoping that we eventually like get to, like there'll be some like, I guess a lot more has to develop before we can get to this point, but I was like thinking about it, and before the break, because I actually was like, fuck, I should have done that differently, but before the break, the reason why everyone was staying at the safe house was because you guys hadn't really like there was this threat that you guys didn't really know much about. You didn't know where it was coming from, this and that, whatever. It was better to have everybody together. But like things have in a way calmed down since then, especially over this break. Like Lindsay has made a lot of progress and done a lot of things like while you guys were away. And now especially having Travis and stuff is I was going to have Colette not stay with you guys and be like, okay, well, I'm going home. Like, see you later. You know what I mean? Because you guys don't have to stay at the safe. Like, that's the thing with like coterie. Just because you're all a part of a coterie doesn't mean you have to live together. You know what I mean?
In this specific case, I guess it makes sense for like Nyx, Alejandro, and Sparta to be in that place, because I bet that Alejandro and Sparta don't have an apartment or a place to stay at.
No, they don't. They haven't been given.
And yeah, and obviously Nyx, it just got there. She didn't even go there before.
Yeah, I'm not referring to them though. I'm referring to Colette, because Colette
100%
has a house.
We weaned off, like, pretty much. That's like,
yeah, like Colette has a house. Colette has a life, like,
yeah.
And that's why I'm playing her the way that I'm playing her, is because she's like, you guys showed up and ruined my life, basically. That's like how Colette views you guys. Like, I had my own thing going, and then this happened, you know what I mean? And now I'm stuck here working with you guys. So, I was like, I'm probably next session, I'll have her like start staying at her own place. Because it makes sense now that like the threat sort of has died down, for her not to like have to stay there or feel like she has to stay there. Before, it made sense to like have everybody together. But eventually, depending on how things go, people like you guys you're in the process of, you know, making your own way in the city, and eventually it might come to the point where you guys have your own places as well. But for right now, obviously, this is the place that you've been given, so this is where you stay. But eventually, depending on things.
Eventually, we have to
spacious. I'm like, can I stay here?
No.
Like, no, bitch, this is the safe house. Get your own house.
Literally, the only reason why you guys are even in this particular house is because you got kicked out of Ronaldo's. So
let's not remember that. Let's gloss over that part.
Right. That didn't happen. Like, nah.
I feel like Nyx is actually, like, after she saw the drops and stuff, Nyx is so curious. Like, I'm like thinking about, I'm like, whenever like we wean off a little bit, like, she's just gonna go and ask every fucking person about information about the kindred stuff. If we time skip like sometime for the next chapter, I'm already like looking forward to the next and the next. But if we do have like a nice time skip, that's what she's gonna be doing a lot. She's gonna be doing a lot of occult studying, I feel like.
Just see her walking around with a little notepad full of notes, like, oh, what about this?
No notepads. Can't share the information. Can be written. It's just verbal. Remember?
True.
Mm-hmm. Can't have anything like laying about. You never fucking know, you know?
One thing that I'm like, okay, I'm gonna have to start trying to figure out ways to push you guys along. Like, you guys, I feel like right now you guys are like in the kiddie pool with floaties on, and I need to like be the parent that takes your floaties off and throws you into the deep end and is like, fucking swim, bitch.
Yes.
because I've noticed in a couple of things that have happened recently, like, because we've been doing some, like, text RP and stuff, that it's like we've created a situation where your characters can't do anything for themselves. And that's not the truth. You know what I mean? Like, just because you're a coterie, just because you work for Lindsay, just because you're in this safe house, doesn't mean you can't freely live your fucking life and go and do the things that you want to do. You know what I mean? Like, and I'm like, okay, I think that this is just the situation that has been created because of how the RP has played out because of this situation. But I'm going to start breaking that. And I'm going to start having NPCs respond to you guys like, I'm not your fucking babysitter. Like, figure your shit out. I'm not here to wipe your ass for you. If you want to do something, fucking do it. If you want to figure something out, figure it out. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not here to hold your hand to do everything. And I'm just going to start having NPCs like respond in the way that NPC would, obviously, because all of them are different. I'm just going to have them start responding to you guys that way and being like, figure it out. Like, I'm not your babysitter. I'm not here. Well, that's one thing that I wanted to talk about, which we can, we'll wait, because that was like towards the end of the episode, so I'll make a note. Because I was curious I don't remember who it was. I think it was Karma that was saying something, and I think they were like curious or like, what was Colette gonna say? So we'll talk about that when we get there.
But Nyx is a baby. Well, yeah.
Yeah,
I had a brain fart moment though, like on the fucking, like when I took out the phone and I texted, I didn't even fucking think about it. That was like a moment where Fenicia died inside a little bit, because I was like, I know better than this, like. But, like in RP, like I could justify it where like Nyx is kind of oblivious, like she really doesn't know any better. But still, like I made a mental note of that, and I was like, I felt bad because I was like, that is stupid. I know better. Like I knew exactly when that happened, like in the forest, and I was like I was having a mental breakdown on the side because it was just
stupid.
Steve and Memsy and Colette, and I was like literally screaming and screeching and like I was having like literally a mental breakdown while that scene was happening, and I was like, no, not the phone.
I was thinking the same thing when you pulled out your phone. I was like, oh shit, here comes the forest again. But I was like, Sparta's too dumb. He's not even going to think about it. So he's not going to say anything. But inside, I was like, oh shit, we're about to have another forest incident.
Oh my god, she gonna learn fast. No, mental note. That was a mental note for sure. Like no phones in the dark.
Duh.
Noted.
And then
Especially if you're not trying to like, be like, hey, I'm here, guys.
You have like
up?
Alejandro and Colette across the yard, like, the fuck. It's so funny because I purposely put Alejandro and Colette together in those situations because I know they're the most experienced and they are both like they were both police and like did detective work and shit. So I'm like, I'm gonna put the two that don't know what the fuck they're doing together and see what they do and see how they perform. And I'm gonna put the experienced people.
That like Jenna rolled very shitty for that guard.
Yeah, he did roll. I think he only got like 1 or 2 successes, and I was like, nah, he's not paying attention.
Like, that moment, that cool ass moment where Nyx fleets over and slashes the tire and then does that again and puts the little like smoke bomb under the car, that would have not happened
Nope.
at all. So
All of that would have went down a whole different way, and Travis probably would have fleeted out the back door and been gone.
yeah. Yep.
Because that was another thing is, like, obviously you guys didn't know Travis's, like, abilities and shit, but he's a Toreador, so you can use your imagination as to what he had. But yeah, he is built very much like a Toreador. Cat's grace, fleetness, shit like that. Blink, like all kinds of shit like that makes him hard to catch. So any element of surprise was what you guys needed in that situation. Otherwise, he would have been gone before you could even see him, you know?
I never even would have thought about the smoke grenades until you sent us to like the redneck Walmart. Like once we went down there and you said it was like shelves upon shelves of weapons and stuff, I was like, oh, maybe I should get some grenades.
No, I thought that the smoke grenades were really smart. And what was the one that we threw at Travis? Like a
Stun grenade.
Stun grenade, yeah.
But stop, Tuke. Forgot what I was gonna say. Oh, what did you guys think about the night vision eye drop things?
That was so cool.
I just made that shit up. I don't even.
So fucking cool.
Because the thing is like, I feel like there's so many like magical things, and obviously there's like mages exist and shit like that. You know what I mean? So it's like, I am totally fine with creating stuff that the book doesn't necessarily have. You know what I mean?
No, honestly, again, like the book is a guideline.
Yeah.
Like, it says it right at the beginning of the book. It's like, this is just a guideline. You can do whatever you want. You want to follow the rules, follow the rules. You want to homebrew your rules, fucking do it.
Right. So I was like, I'm gonna have magical shit in this store. And instead of having night vision goggles, they're just going to have cool little eye drops that basically mimic the Eyes of the Beast ability.
And you know what I was thinking? Like, if you don't know how really to tie it in, there's a lot of like Tremere concoctions. Like,
well, that's how I was.
The ones
planning.
that like in LA by Night, where like, what's the girl, the Toreador's name?
Ava.
Nelly.
Oh, Nelly. Ava's Tremere.
She takes the spider one where she can like crawl.
Yeah.
Like on walls and shit, and that's a Tremere potion. Like you drink it, and then like you have the ability of like crawling up walls and shit.
Yeah, the Tremere have all sorts of shit. Which is funny because somebody asked if vampires can fly, and yeah, there's a Tremere potion that makes vampires fly.
Yeah.
That would be fun.
So, yes, vampires can fly with a Tremere potion.
Yeah, no, that's
if
why,
you can
like,
find a Tremere that would trust you and give it to you.
I answered like a question, like the question in chat, like maybe question mark, because I knew from LA by Night, especially
because they use that. But
yeah, no, potion.
I planned on having. It's funny because I was gonna have Colette do it, but I was like, well, this is no fun. But I was surprised that no one else was interested in all of the magical shit in this fridge. Like, if this lady just pulls out this magical eye drops, I'd have been like, what else you got in here? Like, I would have been looking through all that shit. And I was like, well, I could have Colette do it. But I was like, that's boring because I know what's in there. Because I was going to make, like, other cool magical things be in there that you guys could use. And nobody cared. So I was like, okay, well, moving on.
Yeah, no, that's why, like, I was, like, kind of cringing when, you know, nobody went and see apart from you, Jenna, with Colette. Because if I was there, I would have probably been like, okay, well, that's cool. What else is here? Like, what else kind of fucking Harry Potter shit is here?
Right.
Like,
yeah, because it was a whole, like, fridge.
Like, can I be invisible? Like, Hello? Like, did somebody think about a serum of invisibility for the group? That would have
That
been
would be
fucking
useful.
nice.
But I don't feel like Sparta would even care about the voodoo shit enough
No,
to actually look.
Sparta is probably like, actually, I don't want to deal with any of that shit.
Pretty much. He was more interested in like things that go boom.
There could have been
Yeah.
something that went boom in there, though. That's the thing. It's
True.
magic. It's fucking magic.
Yeah.
Magic is way more powerful than a grenade. You kidding me?
Yeah.
So
God damn it, that lady. Next time, just like blindfold Nyx, please, and just take
bring
her
her
down there.
inside. Yeah, because inside was nice. Inside was like
Yeah,
just a
inside was
normal
a department
place.
store, so like she wouldn't have had problems inside the Walmart, the
Yeah.
Kindred Walmart.
Kindred
Just
Walmart.
had to get through the nasty exterior.
Yeah, past the house with the mold and like the decrepit like scent of death.
Yeah,
Like,
it was pretty gross
that
in there.
probably like would have definitely not been okay for her. She would probably have been like, okay, no, I'm gonna fleet the fuck out of here. Actually, I'm gonna blink back to the car. Like, I have nope. But you know, like maybe one time, like maybe whenever the drops run out, like, and we go again, like I'm like, okay, blindfold me and just get me there, and that's
Sparta's
it.
definitely going back with more boom booms.
No, I wasn't puking. Like, I just like, so like my clan, the Toreadors. So first of all clans have like this major flaw, which is called Bane. And like for the Toreadors, like Jenna brought up in the RP, is probably one of the most annoying and the ones that actually like are detrimental to you and the whole scene until like the quote unquote environmental problem is not solved. So I do get like disadvantage. Like all my rolls, I have 2 dice less for any roll that I want to do. So it's I interpreted it as, okay, like if this is affecting her so much, like she would probably feel like sick. So like that's how I interpret it. But like again, you know, it's not, you don't have the description there. It just says that it's debilitating to the point where like again, in roles you lose everything. Toxic environment, exactly. So that's how I interpreted it. You might see other people doing different things with that bane, obviously.
Yeah, I think yours is the only one that physically weakens you.
No, physically, mentally, and everything. Like any role, literally.
The Bruja sends them into a frenzy, and the gang roll's pretty much the same thing.
You guys don't
So,
frenzy, you just take on an animal feature.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't
So-
even frenzy. You just like
You don't
develop, I
frenzy.
don't know, like some scales or
Yeah.
like, you know, like you got
Claws.
a fur face now for a night. You know, like you get your ears like become bat ears or some shit like that. But
It's
then
like
like
cat eyes.
it's a night. Yeah. I
Yeah.
think it's like a night, right?
It lasts for the rest of the night, yeah.
Yeah.
So it's just a physical feature that happens. But yeah, so each clan has a different sort of thing that happens to them when they are faced with their vein, basically. Stop, Duke. Okay, let's talk about a moment that
No, and by the
worried
way,
you.
like both, if you guys were here, like Phoenix, like if you wanna also pitch in and like tell us like your favorite moment or like what stood up to you, like chat is more than welcome to like, you know, answer the same questions that we are answering. But anyway, sorry, Jen, I didn't want to interrupt. I just wanted to remind chat Phoenix hasn't been here before, so.
So we can talk about a moment that I guess worried you, a worrying moment. Stop.
Oh, this one when Alejandro threw Travis over the fence and you said, "Are you sure?" my heart dropped. I was like, oh no.
Yeah,
I think
no,
it
me
even
too.
showed on my face.
I did this.
So just so you guys know, I'm going to start doing what well, okay, they handle it a little bit differently because a lot of the times it's like if they roll it, but a lot of times too it's like if they say they're going to do an action, they're like held to that action in Critical Role. Because if you say something like I'm going to toss him over and you just make a split second decision like that, and I question you, or maybe somebody else questions you, like out of character sort of sense, like, are you really going to do that? That's stupid. I'm not going to give you this chance to rethink because your character would have just done it. You know what I mean? Like, so that's what we're going to go with. Because your character would have just done that action. We're in a different situation to where it's like, oh, we can think about it and kind of stop the situation. But whenever you're doing an action, you're just doing an action. You know what I mean? So that's kind of like how that situation, I was like, well, this is happening because.
Kind of like when Sparta grabbed Colette and caught some hands.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not going to necessarily give you guys a second chance by giving you a moment to think about how dumb that might have been. I'm just going to react. You know what I mean? But yeah, that was a pretty worrying moment, I think.
Yeah, I think like, collectively, that was like probably the worst moment of. Even like actually, I got worried for a second when we were at the bar. Right at the beginning when we went to the jazz bar.
Yeah, we should talk about that.
Because like I am still confusion on that, and I'm very, very like.
I'm gonna make a note. We can talk about that after we finish answering.
After we finish, but obviously, I feel like that is like an obvious like answer of like a worrying time because again, like.
Well, I mean,
we might have like really fucked up real hard, you know.
This is,
like.
I guess more so as a character because Sparta wasn't there when that happened, so he didn't know what was going on.
Yeah.
I mean, you knew out of character, but Sparta and Colette were not anywhere near the fence where these two were. So you didn't necessarily know what was going on over there.
As I was saying, as soon as you said, "Oh, you know that feeling that you get from Catalina," I'm like, no, wait, there's two of them though. And I mean, yes, sure, like Lindsay's here, and we be knowing that Lindsay is a fucking badass vampire that has been around for a second too, not as long as Catalina, but she's still the granddaughter, probably not so far off from Catalina's age. So I'm like, okay, well, Lindsay is here, Lev is here. I was like counting in my head already. I was like, okay, there's Lindsay, there's Lev, and then us three and Colette. Can we take two Catalinas together? And I was like, I don't know, man. I don't know if we can.
There was technically 3 because there was a lady that was in the booth as well.
Right.
There were 3 Catalinas in that bar.
There you go. Like, we definitely would have been fucked. So, you know, that moment worried me a bit. But as soon as, like, we left and then Lev was, like, kind of, like, unfazed in a way, like, where he didn't react the second time that we pointed it out, I was like, okay, maybe there's more to this, so I can chill, like, I can relax, like, we're not, like, in high alert, even because I was like, Nyx doesn't have, like, her shit. Like, we were supposed to go meet Catalina Lindsay, so, like, I didn't think about, like, being like, oh, yeah, she has her, like, weapons with her, you know what I mean? So, yeah, that definitely was, like, another moment that I got, wait, Danger, 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 possible danger, danger.
What about you, Mimsy?
Travis situation and those two kindred at the bar. I was thinking like, ah, fuck, are we gonna have like a back alley fight or some shit?
Back alley massacre more than anything. Sheesh.
So the people at the bar. It's so funny because I feel like there's been multiple times where I've set up situations like this and nobody questions it. If you guys asked questions about what was going on, you would have gotten answers. But no one even brought it up to Lindsay or any, like, I mean, you guys were like, hey, there's these people to Lev, but that was it. Like, there was no follow up. So I was like, okay, well, they're not going to find out who those people are because nobody's asking.
I mean, I would probably ask like next, like whatever, but I think I actually RP'd that with Sparta where I was like, hey, like if nothing is really happening, it means that it's none of our fucking business. And what
You actually said
Nyx,
that.
yeah, and what Nyx like has learned so far is that you don't fucking question like the decisions of like your higher ups. So if Lev like at the second round like didn't react, everything is fine. Like I was like, well, we need to go get a scolding. So I'm not going to bring up like something that it's completely trivial and out of the whatever we were there to do. You know what I mean? I do remember RPing that because I was like, let's not ask questions. Let's just go humble and like be like, yes, like you're right, and then just let's go and do whatever like she needs us to do to redeem ourselves, hopefully.
And Sparta even told Nyx like, this is Lindsay's bar, so they probably work for her or work with her. And it wasn't until Nick started getting worried about it that he's like, all right, I'll text Lev. And then once Lev came back and acted like nothing was wrong, I was like, all right, it's none of our business.
Yeah. But I would probably ask, I'm like, the fuck were those people dressed up like that? The fuck? Like, tell them to dress up nicely next time.
They're pretty
please.
important people, so I was disappointed that nobody decided to fucking open their mouth. And I was like, well, there goes a whole fucking storyline that's not going to be discovered. Well, they'll get discovered whenever they show up to kick their ass. But they are important characters, so it's going to be interesting to see how they make another appearance, because that was sort of the gateway appearance for those characters in that storyline. And I was like, okay, well, this is going to go completely differently. But that's the beauty of RP. You don't know what's going to happen.
Yep.
But I feel like in the situation where we knew we were in trouble as it is, so I feel like all of our characters weren't trying to make waves at that moment. They were kind of like, what's Lindsay going to do to us?
I think the only problem I have with that is like, asking questions isn't questioning somebody. Like, you don't have to be like, who are these people in your bar? Do you not know who's in your bar? Well, like, you don't have to be like that sort of thing.
Something to
you know
say
what I
about
mean?
That, though, like every question that Nyx has been putting out, like has received at least an eye roll from almost everybody. So like,
not Lindsay. Lindsay has never treated Nyx like that. Never. Not one single time. Lindsay has always been patient and answered all of Nyx's questions.
100%. But still, like, you know, like I felt like it was appropriate for that moment. I know that wasn't going to open this chapter, and I knew that like in our private RP you brought up something as well, so I thought it was connected.
It was.
You know what I'm talking about.
Which is why she was there again.
Yeah. So I kind of had an idea of what it was, actually. But, you know. Secrets, I guess.
Secrets
Everybody
don't
has
make
secrets,
friends.
huh?
Very true.
Right, Alejandro?
Why are the dudes so unhelpful to the baby vamp? I'll let them answer that question.
No,
Oh,
finally
um,
answered her question. Like he answered her question to the best of his ability.
That is
No,
true.
yeah,
That's
Steve,
fair.
Sparta like did answer like Sparta tries, but you need to understand Phoenix that like I'm a month old. He's a 2-year-old.
He's not that much more
He's not
experienced.
that much more experienced,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
the specifics of sorry, the clan that Steve is role playing is that they are kind of like ostracized. They ostracize themselves from the rest of the other kindred. Like they like to kind of do their own thing. You know, they don't like bullshit. They don't like all the drama of the Camarilla or any type of drama. They kind of like to like do their own thing in the backwoods and shit and like, you know, live with themselves and like take care of their own. So
Sparta's
like
family specifically he spent all his time in the
I
woods
win.
just hunting.
Go away.
Like so he wouldn't have any knowledge really of that except from stories.
exactly. Just from stories, exactly.
Yeah.
But like stories are not like, you know, an exact like representation of what reality is. So to be fair, every time I ask in character a question to Sparta, like he's very honest. He's like, I either know and this is what I know, or I either don't. And you know, you gotta like find this information somewhere else. Like I have no idea.
But
But I mean, yeah, we can ask that to Alejandro.
Alejandro's just a dick. He's been a dick since day one.
Golem.
He talks in riddles always. It's like
Honestly, okay, sorry. A side note before I forget because ADHD problems. But Menzi, like you could have totally played a Malkavian like that. Like just pushing it a little bit more even. But that would be like a very perfect Malkavian. Without even like trying too hard. Because like usually like and that's actually a good that's a good play. If you want to ever do another character, I think Malkavian would be a good one for you to explore.
Because that's
Definitely.
how they are. They sort of talk
These
in
are
riddles.
literally how they are. Yeah, they don't talk normally. Everything is a riddle. To themselves even. But anyway, continue.
Sometimes
Memzi,
they
I'm
don't
sorry.
even understand.
But like I said, he's always been a dick. And when it comes to like learning about stuff, teaching people about stuff, he's kind of like the way he was as a cop. He's like, you made academy, you're a cadet, you gotta try to figure this shit out yourself. He will show worriness, but he also like, you have to try to figure out this yourself. Because in Alejandro's mind, he's thinking to himself, you know, Nyx would never survive completely alone. Because...
Would she?
It depends.
I don't know.
Like,
I think... Go ahead.
For Alejandro's sake, he was a year old before he started learning about stuff and things. But that's not been dived into yet.
Pretty much all these fucking kindred are projecting their own fucking bullshit onto Nyx. And she needs to deal with it. That is like the generic fucking like answer.
I think that my answer is that it's not their fucking responsibility to teach Nyx. It's Nyx's sire's responsibility. If we're really gonna think about the society of kindreds, yeah, you're a new kindred and they might have sympathy for the fact that you're a new kindred, but that's not their fucking fault. That's not their responsibility. And that's what Colette was gonna say to if she would have heard Nyx's comments to him being like, well, if you would have told me, woo, she would have fucking came at you sideways and been like, bitch, it is not my responsibility to tell you shit. I didn't make you. I'm not your sire. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
but still,
because
like, you know, like
usually,
what is she gonna do? Like, she's gonna get killed.
yeah,
like,
but to
when,
blame them because you don't know, it's not their responsibility to teach you. It's your sire. And vampires understand that. Like, that's why it is such a responsibility to embrace someone. Because you're responsible. That's why the Camarilla has the tradition that they have, that you have to sire somebody, or you're going to embrace somebody with their permission and with the permission of your elders. Because they fucking understand you are responsible for this kindred. You are responsible for teaching them our ways, not anybody else. And if you want to go about it the wrong way, then we'll fucking kill you. And we'll kill them too.
True.
And that's why the Camarilla does it the way that they do it. So it's like,
no, I
kindred
100%
understand that.
I 100% understand.
So they're not going to necessarily be like, oh yeah, it's our responsibility because your sire sucks ass and decided to make you and then run away. Like, you know what I mean?
Because that's what happened. And then also like send other very scary vampires over to like fucking fuck with other shit. You know what I mean? Like.
So it's like, yeah, it's a shitty
situation. Like, it's a shitty situation.
But it's not their responsibility.
Because again, yeah, like Jenna said, it's not their responsibility. But at the same time, I don't have any other access to anything.
Well, yeah, that's fine. That's fine. But what I'm saying, the comments that Nyx made, blaming them, putting the blame on them. Because if you go back and listen to what she said, she literally was like, if you guys would have told me this, like, you're to blame. No, I'm not to fucking blame. It's not my responsibility to teach you this shit. It's not my job. I didn't make you. Like, and the only reason you're here is because Catalina decided not to kill you. Like, she should have. According to the traditions of the Camarilla, you should be dead. Because of this. Because it makes it so messy. Because other kindred don't necessarily want to take on the responsibility of somebody else's child or in the first year of their life, teaching them all of these things. Who wants to do that? You know what I mean? Like, it's literally like having a baby. It's like the same responsibility.
Yeah.
And that...
An adult baby.
Yeah.
Which is even worse.
An adult powerful baby. Like...
even fucking worse, okay? So it's a fucking shit situation for
everybody. It is.
But yeah, in her mind, yeah, of course, like Nyx 100% believes that, you know, like fuck, like she doesn't know even of the rules.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like I'm not saying that Nyx shouldn't have thought that. I'm saying that if Colette would have heard that, Colette would have put her in her place and been like, no, I know that you're in a shitty situation. I know that you don't understand. I know that you're trying to learn, but it's not our responsibility. Don't fucking blame us. We didn't create you. We didn't create the situation. So don't put the blame on us like it's our fault that you didn't know. You know what I mean? Like, that's what I mean. Like, I totally justified Nyx's thought because I would be thinking the same thing. Like, goddamn, y'all need to teach me. You know what I mean? But like in her mind, she doesn't understand the society. You know what I mean? Yeah, like, she doesn't get it.
She knows that it's not okay for a vampire to just turn a vampire.
Right.
But she doesn't know that like it's, you know, there's all this like very intense structure of why and how to do it, like, and how to process. Like, it's literally bureaucracy almost.
All the traditions and stuff like that.
Yeah. So I totally like I agree with the like Nyx's thought process and approach. It's just like they likely aren't even thinking about it that way, whereas Colette would be thinking about it that way. She'd be like, this isn't my fucking responsibility. Are you kidding me? Like, I don't have childer because I don't want to do this shit.
Exactly.
Like, I don't want to.
Yeah. I'm like, Why do you think I have no childer? Like, because I don't want to deal with any of this shit.
Exactly. Like, this bitch is sterile, okay?
No babies for me.
I didn't have kids when I was alive. And
I
I'm not
don't
gonna
want
have
them now.
kids right now.
But I think another thing that I started thinking about,
Click,
when
click.
she was asking all those questions, when she was asking all those questions, was Alejandro has his own shit going on right now. Like, his mind is kind of split at the moment because of what's going on at back home. So he's trying to keep himself updated with what's going on with the revolution he was talking about, which honestly I made up all out of my ass at that moment. So he's thinking about that. He's thinking about, oh shit, I nearly fucked up with Travis as well.
Arwen,
And then
stop that.
let's attack the curtains. And then on top of that, you have this baby vamp that is like asking and asking, getting pissed and getting pissed and getting pissed. Which
I have such a problem with that because Alejandro made that a problem. He made her feel that way.
Yeah.
By his reaction.
Mm-hmm.
She probably wouldn't have questioned it in the way that she did if Alejandro hadn't have made a big deal about it. And then he made a big deal about it and then didn't want to like tell her why it was a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
So he sort of created that situation and then didn't give her any answers or comfort as to why like he thought that was a big deal. Arwen, I will kill you. Leave it alone. Gosh. Why are you doing that?
When it's
She
close.
just like reaches out all the way.
Golly. But you know what? You see what I'm saying though? Like Alejandro sort of created that question within Nyx.
Yeah.
Because of how
like,
he
at the
acted.
Like, you know, Sparta was like, yeah, that's not okay, but like, you should be okay, I think.
Yeah.
You know? And I was like, okay, well, then I'm just gonna ask, you know, like,
Alejandro, what's the big deal?
Yeah, what's going on? And then, like, he made her so anxious. She's like, well, fuck, am I fucked? Am I dangerous to us? Like, she got riled up. She got worried.
And rightly so, because like, she's probably thinking, like, I don't understand this. I don't know what's going on. Like, what's going to happen to me? Am I going to get in trouble? Like, you could just imagine the thousands of thoughts that were going through her mind because of, you know. So I totally get it. Like, I understand. But it also sort of happened because of Alejandro's approach and because of how he, like, approached it and then didn't answer any of her questions. So it didn't make any sense because you're like, well, you're acting like it's a big deal, but you won't really explain to me why it's a big deal. So I'm confused. Why is it a big deal? Like, what's happening here? I would have been just as confused and anxious and concerned.
Right? And like, oh, shit.
No, I think like actually Steve like got worried too. Because also like, Steve's character doesn't know the logistics, right? Because he just learned it by like these story
like don't do that
signs or whatever. Just like don't do it. It's bad, you know, like it could be dangerous. But that's
you can become a slave.
Yeah, exactly.
But I don't know. I don't know what
kind of it. But I remember Steve being like, well, and I'm like, come on, man, just like. So what is it?
I think that's when you like gave up and were like, fuck it, I'm going to ask Colette.
Yeah,
like
yeah. I was like, I kind of don't want to do it because Colette has already been acting weird all day. But, you know, like, let's do this. Let's just like take it out. Let's just process this and like close it and do what I need to do in order to like move on. You know?
Yeah. And Colette answered your question just fine.
Immediately. Like, it was
Exactly.
literally bam, bam, bam. I asked the question. I was like, am I dangerous? She's like, not really. I'm like, okay, so what is it going to happen? And she's like, well, like how you're bonded to your sire. And I'm like, oh, okay. Okay. So I'm going to like just be kind of like thinking about him randomly. I'm going to be wanting to know what he's doing and like that. But like, it's not like I'm not being like drawn to him where like I would, betray my coterie
Right.
and like stuff like that. Like, it would just be a constant like hum in the back of her mind.
Yeah. Like you
And
think
a lot
about
of
it.
that was new information for Sparta as well, just listening to Colette.
Right. But considering the fact that Alejandro is in a blood bond, he very much knows how it works.
Exactly.
And from his predator style, he would have a pretty good understanding because he would need to know how to avoid that happening. You know what I mean? But Alejandro, being Alejandro, doesn't like to just give you the answer.
The Riddler.
What is the dude's name from Karate Kid? The teacher dude.
Miyagi?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's Alejandro.
That's him. Makes sense.
Only that less nicer though.
Yeah, not as
Dick
nice
Miyagi.
and like caring. Yeah, Dick Minogue, whatever the fuck his name is. I said it wrong. Really need to watch past episodes. I want to know. Okay, so Phoenix. I'll explain it really quick. So Nyx, we started this campaign with Nyx as Eden. She was Eden and she was a human. And in the first episode, she was turned. And her sire is like a big mystery. His name is Isaiah Yurnif. That's the only thing that we know about him. And obviously he's a Toreador. And there has been, all throughout the rest of the campaign, there has been things happening where he seems to has some sort of plan to overthrow the city. And no one really knows what the plan is or why or what the relation is. And from the way that it was set up to where Eden was likely not even supposed to survive that night. She was supposed to be killed, but it was interrupted. So she lived. It was interrupted by our coterie showing up. And by her being way more powerful than I think than expected is really what the thing was. Is she turned out to be more powerful than Isaiah anticipated. And she sort of wrecked even his plan in that moment. So he took off. So he's sort of like the bad guy of the campaign. He's the enemy that we're all searching for.
Antagonist.
Yes. So, but there's still a lot of mystery about him. There's been some stuff revealed through like premonitions and things like that throughout the campaign. But we don't know a whole lot about him or why he's in the city. Yeah, we just know what he looks like and we know his name. And that he's some type of European.
Yeah.
That's it.
He has a very, like, I don't know. I guess, like, you settled on an Eastern European?
I think I did, yeah.
Yeah. Like, he has some sort of, like, Eastern European accent.
Right.
But as I heard his voice in my head most of the times, we can't pinpoint what it is.
Where it is, yeah. So, yeah, he's a huge mystery. The coterie that's all they know about him. That's all anybody in the city knows about him. They don't know who he is, and they don't know why he's doing these things and creating such chaos and what his ultimate goal is. His ultimate goal seems to be that he's trying to take down Catalina, but nobody understands why or like what his goal is. So that all is still like in the process of being revealed. An ancient accent. Yeah, he's also likely old because he's 7th generation.
Well, he's 7th gen, so yeah, he's an old vampire.
Yeah, he would be a few hundred years old, at least.
At least, yeah.
At least, like probably around 400 years old, roughly.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Right.
So he's an old fella.
He's an old fella and he's powerful.
Yeah, like, Catalina's a little bit older than him. She's 6th generation. she's almost 600 years old. So he'd probably be around like 400-ish, 500-ish.
Yeah, I would say. Yeah.
But yeah, so that's sort of the story behind Nyx. So when she died, she decided to change her name to Nyx.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she was previously Eden, and now she embraced a new identity as Nyx. So like she has like official documentation as human Nyx.
Right.
Like
they like
everything
got her a new identity, so to speak. So
yeah.
So that's sort of Cliff Note version of what happened.
Pretty much.
And there's a lot of shit that has happened after that, but that's who her sire is. So she was embraced in a way that goes against the Camarilla, because in the Camarilla, they have a tradition that says that you can't embrace someone without their permission, and you also have to get the permission of the elders in your city. So there's a whole process to embracing someone. It's not just like, oh yeah, cool, I'm going to embrace you and make you a vampire. That's a big no-no in a Camarilla city, especially. So usually in those situations, if caught, the sire and the childer, so that would be Isaiah and Eden, would have been killed on the spot. But Catalina decided to spare Eden because Ronaldo, who was a part of our coterie at the time, stepped up and was like, well, maybe she could kind of be of use to us alive and she can help us find this Isaiah character. So she spared her and let her live. But typically in that situation, the sire and the childer are punished by death. So, and that's what I'm saying in regards to like how Colette would have responded if she would have heard those like comments of basically like accusing the group of like, it's your fault that I didn't know this. She would have likely gotten very upset about that, because Colette, who's 60 some years old as a vampire, definitely, and very familiar with Camarilla, traditions and things like that, living in the city and working in the capacity she does, she would have understood how their society works. And she probably would have brought up that point of like, remember that night? Remember when you were sitting there in front of Catalina and she was trying to decide if you should live? This is why. Because when people step out of our traditions and create vampires or other kindred, it gets messy, especially if you don't stick around and teach them. That you're supposed to, you know what I mean? Like she would have explained that to Nyx. A lot of
times, like vampires end up like turning their goals that might have been at their service for years, learning about the kindred society and learning their ways. Like it's really rare that like, you just embrace somebody that doesn't know anything about it.
Yeah.
As well. So yeah.
They're typically more strategic with who they decide to turn into a vampire. So and Colette would have explained that and been like, don't try to point this on me or them, because this isn't our responsibility. We're trying to help you because that's like what we're supposed to be doing. However, at the end of the day, this is not our responsibility. It is your sire's. And your sire decided to go about this the wrong way and then leave you. But that's not our fault. It's not your fault either. But you know what I mean? Like, and she would have explained sort of the logistics of why the Camarilla has that tradition and why they enforce it in the way that they do. And been like, don't put this on us. This isn't our responsibility. We're doing what we can to help you, but it's not our job. Really. It's not. It truly isn't. That's why they kill them usually. Especially in a situation like this where a childer is just left like this. Like, she probably, they likely don't think twice about killing them if a childer is just left. because you literally have no one. That's the thing is, like, if Nyx wasn't discovered and Isaiah left her for whatever reason, she would have just been a vampire running amidst, like, not knowing anything. That is a huge threat to the Masquerade.
Mm-hmm.
So they're going to kill you.
Yeah.
They're going to be like, you're done.
Yeah.
Bye. Like, Kimberella they don't play games when it comes to the Masquerade. They don't care. And that's another thing is you got to remember these are vampires, okay? They don't have a moral compass like a human. Especially old vampires like Catalina. Her humanity is like 2 or some shit. Like, she has like probably she does have the lowest, besides maybe Imani. She has the lowest humanity in the city. She doesn't fucking think like a human. You know what I mean? Like, they don't have the same moral compass that humans have. So, unwanted redhead child. Redheads are cute. I love redheads. But you know what I mean? Like, that's another thing to remember is, like, we justify it with our very human moral minds of, like, wow, like, she's just trying to learn or, like, whatever. I'm just like, these 500-year-old vampires, they don't give a fuck.
No, it's a lot, again, like you said, Jenna, like, it's a lot easier for them to just off her.
Yeah.
Completely.
Exactly.
And that's why, like, Nyx is always, like, kind of, like, in fucking anxiety mode because she realizes that very well. And she's a try-hard. She is. She's like, okay, like, do you want me to do, like, a little trick? I'll try it. I'll fucking do it. Like, tell me. Like, do you want me to, like, ride a like a unicycle with, like, balancing shit on my head? Let's do it. I'll try it. No problem.
I could just picture that. That would be great.
I can literally picture that as well. She probably would be really good at that, surprisingly.
Yeah, I probably would because Cat's Grace.
Yeah.
Anything related to Dex and athletics, which would be that, is automatically passed. So, yeah.
That has to be in one of the episodes for sure now.
They can't kill you now.
Oh, they can.
Absolutely.
They totally can. Like, that's exactly why, again, I'm saying, like, Nyx is always in constant anxiety because they can.
Because, okay, if you think about it, Ronaldo, even when Ronaldo stepped in for her, he said, well, maybe she is of use to us alive. He wasn't saving her for her.
Yeah.
He was saving her for maybe if we keep her alive, we can find out who this guy is that is threatening our city. That's why Ronaldo saved her. If you really think about it. He didn't save Nyx because he felt bad for her.
No.
He was like, we can use her. And she knows that. She knows she's being used. And she knows that perhaps as soon as Isaiah is found and caught, what is the fate for Nyx?
Yeah, and I feed this, like, a lot. Like, especially, like, in the first episodes and stuff. And obviously now, like, she's not lamenting too much, but, you know, about it, because I feel like it would be redundant, and she doesn't want to aggro anybody at this point. But again, that's one of the reasons why she's a fucking tryhard. She's always trying to, like,
prove herself.
Prove herself, because, like she said, she was like, I don't want to die.
Exactly.
Like, not again. You know, I already had to leave everything. Like, I don't want to necessarily disappear now that I'm given the opportunity to do so.
Right.
Exactly.
So,
and Phoenix, I actually did, like, Sparta did tell her, bite yes, suck no.
Yeah, exactly, Phoenix. Bite yes, bite yes, sucky suck no. If vampire, no, that's not a no. That's a no.
But yeah, they definitely could and might kill Nyx. Who knows? When the time comes, Nyx might be a goner after all of this. She might have just been the part of the piece of the puzzle that they needed to help them eliminate the real threat, and then been like, all right, we're done with you, bye. Catalina's not going to bat an eye at that. So that's another thing is like Catalina cares about her family and protecting her family. She obviously cares about the city because you can see that she is a caring prince just in how people talk about her and the things that like how they've presented her. But at the end of the day, Nyx isn't necessarily a part of the city. Catalina's, she's been alive, what, a month?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
A
and
month
all...
and something, maybe. Because,
And,
like, we took, like, 2 weeks, 2 weeks.
Yeah.
She has no real tie to the city.
Exactly.
No.
And she has no real tie to Catalina.
Mm-hmm.
So, Catalina doesn't necessarily care about Nyx.
Yeah.
So, that's that. You know? We try to humanize these characters, but you can't humanize a character like Catalina that is literally almost a 600-year-old vampire. Her humanity is basically gone. Because the one thing to remember about vampires and this lore and how it works is the older you get, the further you get from your humanity and your connection to the world. Mm-hmm. Because you've lived so long that it's even hard for you to like remember what it was to be a human. You've been alive for 600 years. You know what I mean? Like, you don't remember what it was like. Think about her life. She was 20, I think she was 22. I aged her at the age of 22 when she turned. And now she's almost 600 years. Her 22 years of human life is a blink.
Nothing.
It is nothing.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So it's like to try to humanize her, you can't. You can't humanize her behavior. You can't and that's why I play her in the way that I do. It's funny that you say she's a robot because she moves like a robot. Yeah. I literally play her like that. I don't know why it blocked that. I guess robot is a bad word. Because it said that it wasn't permitted, which doesn't make any sense to me. Whatever. Twitch, calm down.
Yeah, no, seriously, calm the fuck down.
But it is like she's a robot. And that's why I play, like, all of the old vampires, I always preface it like that, the way that they move. It's like they've even forgot how to move like a human. They move in this really robotic, mechanical, strange way. And I do that to signify this is a very, very, very old vampire that is not in touch with their humanity. Piss them off, they'll rip your head off and not think twice. They don't care if you're kindred. They don't care if you're a human.
Yeah.
Because that's how their minds are now. Their minds are so far gone. You know what I mean?
And also it makes sense in this version of this tabletop RPG that they implemented the touchstones and the convictions. Mm-hmm. Like, usually touchstones is something that you learned in your previous life, or like people that you have that kind of remind you and keep you attached to your humanity. But after 600 years, you don't have none of that. Like, your bloodline might have even died. Your human bloodline. You don't have anything that connects you to your previous life.
All that shit has faded. It's gone. And those people are dead long ago. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, you might be able to try to keep up with your bloodline, but who's to say your bloodline survived 600 years? Mm-hmm. You know?
Exactly.
And after 600 years, your bloodline's going to be thinned out and scattered everywhere. And like, how are you supposed to keep up with 600 years?
Exactly, yeah.
Exactly.
It's a long-ass time to be keeping track of that shit.
Yeah.
Like, so, nah, I'm good.
In this it totally, like, it makes so much sense. Like, I think, like, I really like how they implemented that into it, like, into the lore, and, like, why, like, and how even, like, vampires disconnect from their humanity, and how they really turn into these, like, night creatures. It makes more sense in the system itself.
Yeah. So, while it does feel harsh to think about, you know, them killing Nyx, you also have to remember who these characters really are. You know what I mean? Not to say that everybody wouldn't that everybody would be okay with it. Because obviously everyone's at like different levels of humanity and shit like that. Like Colette would probably be really upset, even though she's not like a huge fan of Nyx necessarily. She doesn't necessarily want Nyx to die. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But you also have to remember Colette's only like 60 years old.
Yeah.
Versus like Lindsay and Imani and Ronaldo and
300
Catalina. Yeah. Like all of the
coterie,
leaders. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
The leaders, on the other hand, those people are old as fuck.
Yeah. And even
all
just
of them.
The elders themselves.
Yeah,
like
even
everybody that is like in the
the
highest
council.
positions
Yeah.
are all like fucking old and humanity disconnected
Right.
kindred.
It's because and it's
So-
like that because the Camarilla doesn't allow certain people under a certain generation to even be like members.
An elder. Mhm.
Yeah, it's like you have to be this age and or this generation or this age and up, basically.
And all of our
Jennifer's-
characters,
Don't even get me
all of our
started.
characters are like really young, so we're all, as you've seen within the episodes, we're all very emotional, and like there's
Yeah.
a lot of drama. But once you start getting up to the older ages, they don't feel any of that.
That's
Mhm.
why you can see that difference in Lindsay. She's not emotional like everyone else. Like she's well, she's angry all the time, but
Yeah.
she's that's just her as like a scary character. But she's not like she's a very like sure about herself and like what's going on, and it's like she doesn't let her emotions like play a part in it because she's older and she's more disconnected from that. That's a very human thing to like your emotions controlling you. That's a very human attribute.
Yeah, and I
So-
think that's why also like obviously the more successful like Camarilla cities are like that, because the people in charge, princes and the council and the elders and all of those, are older vampires
Right.
that are not gonna like go crazy because of an emotional breakdown,
Right.
you know?
They're more
It's just like,
calculated.
okay, like we need to survive, so what are the things that we need to do, and whatever we need to do, we're gonna do it, like without even like thinking about it.
Right. This secures our survival. Cool, do it.
Cool. Mhm.
You know, like
Mhm.
because that's the thing is like they're all just trying to survive.
Mhm.
That's all they
Yeah.
care about. They just care about surviving. They don't care about anything else. They don't care if they have to sacrifice people in the process. If they think that that'll help them survive, then cool.
It's gonna happen.
Do it. You know? And that's why it was such a huge thing with letting Eden live, is because Eden is also in the public eye. So it's like keeping her alive is a huge risk. So, and they've had to do all kinds of shit just to ensure that she isn't recognized, and you know, it's been a whole thing. So she would have been like the perfect person for them to just be like, you're way too much of a problem.
Yeah.
Bye.
They made a huge exception for Nyx.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Like any other situation and scenario, I feel like she would have just died. But I
Yeah.
obviously
and also that's
didn't
why I have
want-
another character sheet
Yeah.
ready just in case like
Yeah.
anything happens, you know.
And obviously, I wanted her alive for reasons, so Catalina didn't make her die that day. Yay. But she didn't
Yeah.
know that. She didn't know if Eden was going to live.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I didn't know. I was like, okay, Jenna, I don't know what's gonna happen. I'm gonna have at least the sheet and then a kind of an idea, generic, of like the other character, just in case like we need to flip it around and she's gonna die and I have to play something else like midway through the first episode.
But they're
That would have
so...
been fun.
Although it would have been like, it probably would have been completely justified to kill your character because of all of the shit we just named. But it's so much more fun to keep her alive and do the story that we've been doing. You know what I mean? It
Yeah,
creates such
absolutely.
a big opportunity for like a bigger story.
Yeah. And I
than-
think like, the thing I liked is like we gave the opportunity to people that tuned in to learn with Nyx,
Right.
like the dynamics of what the fuck is Camarilla,
Yeah.
what the fuck is, you know, like a blood bond, And so every time, these things happen, it's like most of Chet doesn't know.
Right.
Like a lot of people from my community, we were actually talking about that, like are watching the RP because they watch me, they watch my channel, but they didn't necessarily like ever gotten into it.
Right.
Nyx is
So they really
basically
don't know.
Vampire 1 for people without any experience with the vampire tabletop.
Yeah. Which is funny because she is the most experienced out of this group.
True.
Yeah, no, and also that's one of the reasons why I didn't want to like do that, because my other idea was like creating like an older generation vampire that would kind of like lead the group a little bit, I guess. But it wouldn't have been as challenging, I feel like.
It would be as fun for you
as a player.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I definitely think that you're being challenged more playing Nyx because you do know all of this shit and you have to like pretend like you don't know it.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. No,
I'm
all
gonna
the time
pretend
I'm
like my character is just stupid all the time. Not stupid, but
exactly.
like ignorant.
Yeah.
Ignorant is better because she just
Yeah,
doesn't
ignorant.
know.
Yeah, she just is.
Yeah.
Yeah, ignorant. Yeah.
Ignorant just
Exactly.
means lack of knowledge. So.
Yeah, exactly.
But
It's
yeah,
not that you're
it's
stupid. You just don't know the information that you need to
right.
know that.
Sadly, people use ignorant incorrectly. They use it more
Yeah,
as
I
like
agree.
calling people stupid, but it's ignorant just means you lack knowledge. It doesn't.
It's a neutral word.
Yeah, it doesn't mean you're actually like stupid.
Ignorant.
But so you guys captured Travis. So how does everybody feel about that? Having Travis now.
Sparta loves it. He's been wanting to get his hands on Travis for the longest time. Since that night. Remember, he wanted to go after Travis, and the group talked him out of it to go talk to Ashley and them. So Sparta's like, we won.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
I mean, Nyx like feels that it is like a step closer to getting to where they want to go, because like one of the things Lindsay said to us at the bar was, we are pretty sure that after our investigation, Travis is extremely connected to Isaiah and whatever the fuck is happening right now. So in her like own mind, it's like, okay, like at least we have somebody that it's more solid as far as a connection to possibly understand what the fuck is happening, who is involved, and like all those things. But I feel like obviously at the end of the night, because Memzi's character Alejandro was acting super weird and Colette's character was also acting super weird, I feel like that left Nyx kind of like, okay, is this not enough? Like she's a little confused in a sense. She's like, she agrees with Sparta in the sense of like, like let's just take in this victory as small as it might be. Like, like we've been fucking like running to try to catch up to these fucking people, and we finally have a little something. Why is everybody freaking out? So that's where Nyx is. Like,
I think that they're just misreading why Colette and Alejandro are acting the way that they are.
Yeah, 100%.
They're associating it with what happened with Travis, and it doesn't have anything to do with that.
Yeah.
At least in Colette's situation.
I mean, for Alejandro, he's got his worries right now, but at the same time, like, his mindset is, yes, take all small victories, but there must be a bigger picture. Because for someone that's that wanted in that city, or, everything going on, you'd think he would have more protection than just one vehicle.
Yeah, like Colette's mind is in the same place. Like that was too easy. But Colette and Alejandro have very different experience than Sparta and Nyx. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
exactly.
Exactly.
Like Alejandro tries to all small victories it's okay, but he also knows that small victories doesn't always need to be good. Like, okay, we got this guy. Hey, cool, pat on the back. But why was it this easy?
Yeah.
Like,
Mm-hmm.
why could they?
Actually got to
Why
him.
did we grab him so?
Exactly. And
Yeah,
Colette and
because-
Alejandro have the knowledge and the experience to realize when something is too easy, it's usually too good to be true. It's usually some sort of trap.
Yeah.
They have the experience and the knowledge to be thinking that way because of their past.
No,
you know?
absolutely. That's why like
So-
it makes sense. Like we have again two kindred that could have that insight, you know.
Right.
They have the experience, and then there's the other two that have no idea
Like,
what the hell.
hell yeah, bitch!
Yeah.
You made it.
Like, we're so awesome. And then Colette and Alejandro are like, okay,
Yeah,
something's
like,
not
no.
adding up here.
Me as Fenice,
and that's
whenever. Oh no, go ahead, Memsy.
And that's the other thing, right? Because with Travis being a Toreador, having, celerity, that first clink from the grenade, he could have moved away from it.
Not
He
necessarily.
could have blinked.
They're not
So,
mind readers. They
but-
don't, like,
Yeah.
it doesn't affect your reaction time. If he didn't know that was happening, you can still catch a vampire with
Celerity.
fuck.
It depends
Celerity
on like,
off guard.
who goes first.
Yeah, like,
Mhm.
it doesn't mean you're amazing at everything and you can never be caught off guard. Like,
Yeah.
his attention was very much on outside and, like, what was going on. They didn't even know you guys were there, so there was no reason for him to be ready for someone to
And
attack him.
prepared.
You know what I mean? So, not necessarily. I think if he would have seen you guys, then yeah, for sure. But I don't think that it's fair to say, even with rapid reflexes, you can't necessarily dodge a hit you don't know is coming. You know what I mean? That's not how these abilities work. You can't predict the future. You can't, just because
Be aware of what's happening. To be
right.
able to dodge.
Right, exactly. So I think that I think the only situation where he would have actually been able to use celerity to get away from you is if he saw that you guys were there and like could see that he was about to be attacked. You know what I mean? But it still doesn't necessarily make sense as to why his security was so low. Like, and I think that is also a point that Mimsy was making. He's like, wait a minute. Alejandro's like, this doesn't make sense. This
Because
dude.
as far as we know, there was only 2 people there protecting him. As far as we know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and
when
that's
I was
exactly-
saying, sorry, let me just finish this very fast. But like when
Celery.
Jenna said, "Oh yeah, there's that guy in front, and then there's one guy inside," I was expecting to have a full-on fight with like a full 8 people, 10 people squad of at least goals, if not like a few kindred in there, and like really do this in a smart way. That's why I was like, are we really sure that we want to like toss a smoke grenade? What if there's like another 5 people upstairs and like a few people in the adjacent like fucking rooms that pop out?
Mm-hmm.
Like, like that's what I was saying. And then you're like, oh yeah, no, that's it. And I'm like, but that's as a player, right?
Right. Nyx isn't necessarily gonna, because Nyx's not like tactical. She said it plenty of times. She's like, I've never done this before. I'm like an actress singer. Like, You know what I mean? Like, I don't know how to be a
no idea.
cop or detective. But yeah, Mimsy, what were you saying?
No, it's like I said, like for Alejandro, it seemed way too easy. It seemed like there wasn't enough security around for how much of a high value target he was.
Exactly.
Which that for Alejandro's mind doesn't make sense. They're like, okay, we got the guy, but why? Like they put a bigger fight up that night at the safe house than what they did here.
Wait, what?
That was a much
True.
Who?
When they took Nyx's brother.
That wasn't Isaiah and his people.
That wasn't Isaiah.
That had nothing to do with Isaiah.
Yeah.
That was a rogue group of Malkavians.
A rogue group of Malkavians that wanted Nyx for
During the blood hunt.
Draw them. Yeah. Because another thing that has not been explored is there is a power, and I know Tremere can do it. I'm not sure if Malkavian has ability. I don't know what their clan things are, but anyway.
Fix, dominate, and obfuscate.
Okay, so there is an ability that allows people to connect with their sire. And Tremere can do it. And I don't know how it works with other people. Like, I don't know if Tremere can, like, enable that for somebody else to connect to their sire. I don't know how that works because I haven't explored that. I know that it's an ability, and I purposely haven't used it as a Tremere because it's too easy. It would literally give you Isaiah right then and there, basically, and I don't want that. So that's why none of the Tremere have, like, offered to do that. But there is an ability to do that, and other kindred would know that. So they might possibly be able to try to use that in this situation, which is why they were trying to get her. Because they're like, well, if we get her, then we could possibly use her to find this person, and then we can get a favor. You know what I mean? So that's what their goal was, but they had nothing to do with Isaiah. You guys have actually never been attacked by any of Isaiah's people.
Actually, now that I think about it.
There has been no fights with Isaiah's people.
We've run into them, but we've never actually had a conflict with them.
Exactly. Yeah. There hasn't been any fighting with them. They've just sort of
fighting with the cultists and the rogue Malkavians.
Yeah. What was I gonna say? Oh, so Colette sort of is having the same thought process about, like, catching Travis. She's sort of like, that was, like, way too easy. Like, it doesn't make any sense. Like, kind of like Mimsy said, he was a really high valued target. Like, it doesn't make sense that we would have the address and we would know where he was. And then when we showed up, there's only 2 people there with him that clearly weren't that strong. You know what I mean? Like, so it doesn't really add up in her mind. So she's obviously considering that and, like, taking that into account, but she also isn't in the like position and mindset right now to, like, she doesn't care to carry on with you guys. So she's not just gonna, like, sit back and, like, have a conversation and be like, I don't know, like, and this is why she, you know what I mean? She wouldn't sit back and explain her thought process because she doesn't necessarily want to be there. So she's just like, I don't know, like, that's why she made that comment when Sparta's like, I don't know why everybody's nervous. And she's like, I'm not fucking nervous, but I also don't want to sit down here and have a chit chat with you. You know what I mean? Like, he basically told her, like, I'm not worried about what we just did. I'm just not in the fucking mood to sit here and have a powwow with you because I don't want to be here. You know what I mean? Because she's not necessarily worried, especially considering the fact that Lindsay has him. Like, she's like, I'm not fucking worried about this shit. Like, even if it is some sort of trap, which is probably what she's thinking and considering just from her line of work, when you catch somebody that's wanted that easily, usually it's like it's a domino effect for something else happening. And she's sort of thinking that and preparing for that. But even if that's the case, like, Colette doesn't necessarily worry about that stuff. She's trained. You know what I mean? Like,
Thinking ahead.
Yeah, her mind doesn't get caught up in that because of her training. Her training sort of takes over at that point, and she just focuses on whatever she's got to do. But yeah, that's why she straight up hurt Sparta's feelings and was like, fuck you, I don't want to talk to you. That's
Sparta.
why I'm leaving. Not because I'm worried or like nervous or just like, I don't fucking care. This is just a job. And that's the thing, is this is just a job to her. And she's treating it like a job. And in those moments, her jobs or her training just takes over. You know what I mean? And she doesn't necessarily worry about things, and she just does the job that's at hand and moves on.
She doesn't necessarily give a shit about any of us. She's here for a purpose.
Yes. I think she made that pretty clear
Yeah.
the last night.
Ruthless.
She was like, I was starting to like you guys, and then
That
You got
happened.
shot.
I got to go home for 2 weeks and realized how much I miss and like my house. And now I kind of don't want to be here anymore again. And it's probably going to take her a few days to like get back to that, like, okay, we're semi-friends. You know what I mean?
Right? To warm back up to us
Yeah.
after we got her shot.
She's like, I just want to go home. Which is funny because it makes you wonder, what are her ambitions? What is she trying to accomplish? And
With-
Spoiler, she wants to
Come
take
on,
over the city.
what'd you say? Your mic cut out.
Hmm?
I didn't hear you.
I said, spoiler alert, she's going to try to take over the city next campaign.
Spoiler alert. Colette is the mastermind. You thought it was
Behind
Isaiah.
everything.
Dun dun dun. God, that
Jeez,
would be a twist.
That would be a fucking twist. Holy
Careful,
shit.
don't give me any ideas.
Oh no.
So,
Oh no.
Oh no. Oh no,
Oh
no. Next campaign is just you guys trying to find Colette because she fucked everyone over.
And she's right there with us.
Right under your nose the
there
entire
whole
time. No one even questioned it.
Nope.
That's funny. That would be like a pretty fucking major plot twist.
Yeah.
That was
Yeah.
fine fucking.
Which is funny is because we touched on this last time, but do you guys think that any, well, I don't want to say important people. I guess we did kind of talk about that. We speculated about who might be involved. But has it
Oh yeah, and
has it crossed your
the-
mind? Because I feel like, I don't want to give away too much, but I feel like no one really has put any like doubt. If I was a player, I'm gonna say too much, so I have to stop talking. But I don't want to like. I don't think that any of the characters have put any doubt.
The only one that is always doubting everything is fucking
Alejandro.
Memsy right here. He's always like, I trust no bitch. Like,
But-
you are sus.
But you can't.
You are sus. You are sus. You also
He
are
thinks
sus.
everyone's involved.
But here's that's the funny thing, right? Like, he he has his people he trusts, but obviously it's gonna be his people, his clan. You're outside there. I don't fucking trust you. Now it's funny you should ask that, Jenna, because something that I came to think about after I gotten some sleep, some rest, and some food and all that, like, how is Ashley gonna react to one of her besties being gone and not showing up at the parties, not responding to her, shit like that?
Yeah,
How
does she
is
know? I thought about it. I was like, does she know about this? Because
He flipped out about a car. So
yeah, she did freak out about a car. But like, I know 99.9% that like Penelope has been knowing this information since like we went and visited and asked Ashley to bring over Travis.
And that's exactly,
absolutely.
that's exactly the thing, right? Ashley's like, she might be powerful, but she's not exactly the sharpest tool in the shed, or the most attentive tool in the shed, I guess you could say. So that's what I've been asking myself, like, how is this capturing Travis and him going MIA gonna affect her lifestyle? Because she doesn't have her bestie no more. Like,
Well,
where
he's
the fuck are
been
you?
MIA for a few weeks now.
Mm-hmm.
He disappeared the night that you guys tried to capture him the first time.
After this last episode and how easy taking Travis was, I'm more sure than ever that there is somebody within the Ventru that are like feeding, because Lindsay got the information from somewhere, and we already thought about, theorized it, that there was a Toreador, a Malkavian, and a Tremere involved in
Walks
this.
into a bar?
Like, yeah. So
Literally.
I still think that there's somebody in the Venture that's helping them.
And also
Lindsay
in the Tremere, because like there were the two ghosts, like in that
that's
thing.
already been confirmed.
Exactly. So I think there's somebody in the Venture helping and feeding information to Lindsay, and they kind of threw Travis under the bus. This is outside of character.
I'm curious, why do you think it is a Ventru? I'm just curious.
Because Lindsay's a Ventru as well.
Lindsay's a sheriff. She talks to everybody.
True.
She gets information from everybody.
I can't really put my finger on it. I just have a feeling that there's somebody in the Ventru trying to shake things up, like a power struggle.
And it would make sense that like Isaiah and like his group of people might want to have a mole inside every territory.
Yeah, that's what we talked about last time. Yeah, I think that it makes sense too.
So like they would have somebody. I think like the only like maybe only one that hasn't really shown up, and maybe that's the problem also, are the Malkavians. Because like they haven't been involved in this apart from like when they went completely rogue and try to like fuck with Nyx's shit.
Yeah.
But again, as a Malkavian, like that makes sense. Like they're just, well, that's easy. Like let's just grab this, let's just grab her and let's go. You know? And again, they haven't been involved in this. Like they don't really know the situation. So, you know, was it rightful of them? Probably not the best decision. But, you know, like they're rogue fucking vampires. Malkavians are very unpredictable.
Yeah.
So maybe that's like the only like territory that I don't see like having a double agent in there, because they really haven't
or something to gain, because Malkavians they're not political usually. They don't really care. They just want to live their lives, sort of thing. Like, and
they're doing with their fucking net, like whatever.
Yeah.
And
they're
often like
even cuckoo land.
Somebody else took over.
There are like Malkavians there are Malkavians like in charge of cities, but you kind of need to have a very specific type of Malkavian to like want it to go and stir the campaign that way.
Yeah,
And I
and
feel like
these
usually-
Malkavians aren't really that. We've
No.
set them up to be, they're kind of
Very
like
independent.
hippie, living
Yeah.
off and doing their own thing. You know what I mean? They're
I
not,
don't feel like they would care who ran the city,
right.
one way or
Yeah.
another.
As long as they could do their
Stay
things and
there
not be
and
bothered,
chill. Mhm.
then they'd
Yeah,
probably
so
be
I
okay.
feel like that's the only like territory that again I don't feel like they would infiltrate. But Ventru, Toreador, and Tremere for sure. Like I feel like it would make sense to like sneak in somebody in there, or turn somebody
Against.
into like against the.
I think it
the
also
power.
makes sense because it's been very clear in the story that these other clans are very connected to Catalina. Like,
Mhm.
you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
you have
they're really
Imani,
close to her,
who
Mhm.
is like basically Catalina's best friend, and they've known each other for a long time. Then you have the Ventrus, who, as a Ventru herself, like, and we've even said with Colette mentioning that most of the Ventru that live in the city are Catalina's bloodline. So obviously, those people are super connected to her and going to protect her.
Mhm.
And then you have the Toreador, who are also close. Like Ashley and Penelope are close. You can tell, like with their event, and then painting, like you can see that connection that they have. You know what I mean? So
Mhm.
it makes sense that if some outsider were to come and overthrow the city, they would have to kind of get people, because the way that it feels is if someone is going to go after Catalina, well, obviously Catalina can handle herself. She can hold her own, but these other clans aren't just going to sit back and let her be attacked. You know what I mean? They're not going to do that. They don't necessarily have the relationship to just like be like, oh, well, there goes Catalina. Rip.
Rip.
You know what I mean? Like they don't have
What do you-
that relationship to do that. They would fight for her and with her. So it makes sense. I agree with that theory and philosophy. It'll be interesting to see what type of answers you guys get going forward.
Yeah, I'm excited. I can't wait to know more.
It's getting exciting.
I think it's been pretty exciting.
It hasn't really died, right? Like, every time I'm
It's
like,
been intense every session.
there's like no break.
Honestly, I feel like this is the first session that like not really shit didn't hit the fan and nothing like really bad happened. It was just kind of like, get the job done. Okay, cool. We did it. Go home.
We worked well as a team.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what Nick said. I role played that. I was
Yeah.
like, what is happening? Like, we finally, for the first time, actually work together. Isn't this like?
Yep.
Nick's trying to be wholesome and everybody like, I don't give a fuck.
The Sparta was all about. He's like, fuck yeah, victory.
Okay, if I really need to speculate, as we are in the speculation area here, I'm like, I agree with you about, it being very easy. Like I noticed the, absent. I was really not accepting, but like expecting. There you go. A full on fight, like 3 versus 10 type of thing, and like we need to be like strategic and like really like fucking try to take them out like little by little and not get discovered and all of it. And then like it wasn't, and I was like, that's sus as fuck. And so like obviously as we talked about it and whatever, I've been thinking about it. I'm like, what if there is a La Sombra involved? La Sombra has dominant. I know all of this and she is powerful enough. What if she implemented like memories that are not the same?
Yep.
Like that are not real. It's false information that might look real, but it's not. And so like they literally set us up for like some fucking fuck shit next time.
That's what I was
You
thinking.
know?
He was
So
thrown
that
under the bus for bait.
yeah, like he might have been willing, which is even easier. He's like, yeah, modified my mind. And I'm like, did I catch it? Did I catch it? Jenna's laughing. I'm like, I think I'm up to something here.
Stop talking. No, I'm just kidding. No, it's just funny that you.
I need to change it.
Well, okay, let me erase that and kind of fucking change the whole damn story, you know? No, it's funny. No, it's just funny that what makes me laugh is that I love what you're putting down, and I love the fact that you can think this way, because not everybody can think this way, because this is how I think too. Like when I'm watching movies or reading stories, I usually can predict what's going to happen, which is why TV is boring for me. When I find a good show that I can't predict, I'm like, wow, these people are amazing.
Yeah, this is exciting.
You know, like, because usually I can figure out the plot. Anyway, that's just how my mind works. But I just love that you can do that. And maybe you are spoiling things, but I'm not going to tell you if you are. But I love that you bring up the point where you said that maybe he's willing, because every little hint that you guys have gotten along the way, everyone has been willing.
Exactly.
Isaiah isn't using anybody against their will that you guys know of. Everybody that all of the little premonitions and all of the little things.
Like, thin bloods, everybody was like, yeah, murder me. Yeah, do whatever you will.
Right.
Like, for us to get to like this ultimate goal.
It's like they know they're sacrificing themselves for this goal,
for like a
or
greater
whatever.
Good.
Right. So it's just funny that you bring that up, because that is completely in line with what's been happening. Everybody has been willing.
We had confirmation, like from Lindsay, saying no, he's 100% like really involved into like this whole orchestration.
Yeah.
So like I'm like, oh yeah, he got dominated, he was willing, so probably like erasing and replacing memories is a lot easier, it's a lot more effective, it's a lot more truthful. This person would have known the history of Travis and what he was doing, so she can modify everything. She could modify like a month of this, like years of this, especially if they have been working together, especially if his mind was already like open to being, you know, modified.
Changed. Yeah. It's a lot easier to do it if they don't like resist you and things.
Yeah.
If somebody's willing to do it, they're not trying to resist you in any way. It's easy to use that against them and change their mind. Yep. So, yeah, I think you bring up a really good point.
So, yeah, I'm expecting it to be a setup where, like, we learn this information. Maybe, like, if you do, like, roles in the background for, like, whomever is, like, interrogating them, you might maybe pick up on, like, the fact that his mind was modified. But, you know, like, they can't go back and, like, extrapolate
There's nothing
the
you
information
can
that was
do.
deleted. There's nothing that they can do.
Nope.
So
once your mind is modified, it's modified.
Yeah. In a very, like, our best outcome is for them to discover that his mind was tampered with. And so we avoid, like, a trap. But if they don't, and they're just reading the replaced memories and they don't catch up on the, oh, this is actually might have been tampered with, we're fucked. We're kind of fucked. Like, so yeah.
Yeah.
I definitely think he's bait, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And he was thrown under the bus just for that reason.
Maybe he threw himself out under the bus.
That's like, because everything that we've seen, they were willing. I don't know 100% how dominate works, but is that considered free will if you're dominated?
If you're willing, like, the difficulty is super low.
So, you know, Lindsay has used dominate in front of you multiple times. She's used it against Alejandro. And you know how she like gave him basically was like, get on your knees, and he tried to resist it. Yeah, but you have to roll. The second time when he was in the jail, he didn't resist her and he just immediately fell to the ground.
Yeah.
So the way that mechanically it works is we roll against each other to see who kind of wins this resistance battle. But if the other person isn't resisting, then you just do it. Like there's no resistance. There's no resistance, nothing
and,
stopping
maybe
you.
You can roll to like see how
effective it was.
The replacement is.
But there's nothing stopping you. There's no resistance against you, so there's no reason you wouldn't achieve your goal. So you just, it works. And that's why the second time when I asked him, like, are you going to resist her? And he said no, then I didn't even roll because there was no reason to roll because he would have just gotten to his knees. He wouldn't have tried to stop himself from listening. So dominate is, and mortals can't stop you. Vampires can resist you, but mortals can't resist you. Although obviously Isaiah's a vampire, but mortals, they don't have the will to resist you. So they just do whatever you're telling them.
Yeah.
And that brings up another interesting point. If Travis did it willingly, why? To what end? Like, because obviously if he was going to side with outside of character, we know it's a Lasombra. So he would have wanted something to gain from it.
Not necessarily, I think, because like if you're like super down for the cause, why the fuck would the Thin Bloods like have fucking sacrificed themselves? Like, again, all my premonitions were like, you know that this is the right thing, and they're like, yes, you're right. Like, and the person was like, you need to do this willingly. That was very important. So like,
it can't be dominated.
How the fuck would he doesn't have anything. He might just be quote unquote sacrificing himself because he knows that could help them like achieve what they need to achieve.
I actually have a theory on why the Thin Bloods actually sided with them. I think they might have been promised a place in the city without being ostracized, because you know how they're all tattooed. So like the Lasombra probably convinced them.
They all knew what they were doing.
Oh,
they all knew that they were gonna die.
So why would they have cared?
Why would they have cared about having a position in the city?
They were manipulated, obviously, but
I don't know. I don't think so.
I think they were promised something very big for like the whole, and that they were thinking about the larger group rather than the individual, and that's why the individual sacrificed themselves.
Could be. But I think like the greater good is like the replacement of like the power. So like I feel like, you know, they already knew that probably they would have been sacrificial like people, like pieces, like the little fucking pawns in chess, the first ones to go.
And they were.
They wouldn't necessarily reap the
benefits of whatever they're working for.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's one of the reasons why, like, at this point, that's what we wanted. We wanted Travis. And probably Travis stepped up to the plate and he's like, well, I guess I'm going to go for the greater good. It almost feels like cultish to me. Like, it's another like cult. They did brainwash. And, like, let's consider that, like, one of the main people is a Toreador. Like, Toreador, what did they do? They charm people into like doing what the fuck they want
and loving them and worshiping them.
Yeah, and then they have a Lasombra that can dominate and bend your mind at their own will. With again, dominate. So like manipulate it probably, but at the same time that makes them absolutely willing to do it because, you know, they have two of the manipulator clans that are leading them. Fucking like La Sombra that is ruthless. Literally, their bane is like, until they don't get what they need, they are going to get like, I think that one is another one super annoying. I was reading the rewrite because they did a whole rewrite on the La Sombra clan. But I think if I remember correctly, the bane is like, if they can't get what they want, they get like a minus, I don't know how much. I think it's a -2 for rolls until they get there.
Something
Like
like
they're
that.
power hungry.
Yeah.
They're power hungry. Like they obsess over it.
I think it's the worse bane than Toreador.
Yeah, it is. It's really
It
complicated.
becomes their obsession, basically.
Mhm. Yeah.
To achieve the goal or to get whatever. But it also makes them ruthless.
Completely ruthless
Because they're willing to do anything. They're
to
willing
achieve it.
to do anything. They're willing to kill anyone. They don't care. They have to achieve their goal at
That's
any
why
cost.
they were, before this new rewrite of the V5, they were the main leaders of Clan Sabat.
Mm-hmm.
They were the
Which
ones
the
where,
bot is fucking scary.
the
The
Sabat is scary.
The Sabat is no fucking joke. They are, talk about ruthless. That's them in a nutshell.
Yeah.
They are.
That's why, like, they don't even have humanity. They
Yeah.
have, like, these beliefs, which is all, like, if you're wrong, kill them. If it's in your way, kill them.
They
Murder
don't listen to
everybody.
you, kill them.
Literally.
You don't like them?
Literally
Kill 'em.
Kill them.
Every guy.
Like, literally, they would just wipe out an entire city and then just have that city for themselves. They don't care.
No, they don't.
They're
give a fuck.
crazy. Like, you think Catalina is bad?
And the
At least
thing
she lets
that,
people
like,
live.
I guess got them like kind of decimated in this version is that they believe in the like in kindred being
They exist. Kill them.
the best race, right? Like
Yeah.
higher than like the in the pyramid, higher than humans and anything else.
Yeah.
So they're like, why the fuck should we hide? We can just take
we don't
over
need
the
to
entire
hide.
world.
We're better than them. We're more powerful than them. We're the ultimate race and species. So fuck them.
Yeah, they don't give a fuck about the Masquerade.
Literally,
They
the
don't care.
only reason humans exist for them is to eat. But after a certain point, you can't even eat humans, really, because they do nothing for you. You have to eat like 75 humans to even quench your thirst. So at a certain age, usually you start feeding on vampires because it doesn't,
And
humans don't
it's a
quench your
huge
thirst.
practice in the Sabbat to actually do diablerie.
Oh, yeah.
They're like, oh, do you want to like drain that guy? Yeah, sure. Like, I'll get I'll down like my generation.
Let's
Cool,
do
get
it.
some new powers. Fuck yeah. They
Yeah,
don't give a
they're
fuck.
scary.
It's not taboo for them.
Mm-mm.
It's a way of gaining more power and being able to actually like dominate the entire world. That's what they wanted. So yeah, it's interesting. The Sabah is a very interesting faction of the Kindred Society.
I agree. I like them. They're scary,
Kind
though.
of said that like they nerfed completely like Simisi and like La Sombra, but it is what it is.
The Sombras are really cool.
I've always wanted to play a Simisi with vicissitude. That was like their previous, instead of protein, they had their own thing. And that shit was scary. That shit was scary.
Caw-caw.
Caw-caw.
We're being dominated. Caw-caw, caw-caw.
Everybody run.
You just see the whole coterie just run away. Ah! Oh, that's funny.
That is going to be a thing.
Caw-caw. That's gonna, anytime we're going into to a situation, that's gonna be the safe word now.
That's the safe word.
If you guys get
Yeah.
in any trouble, caca.
Caca, Sparta, push the button.
I mean,
that's funny.
at this point, Sparta just got a new nickname from Alejandro.
I think
Bird boy.
Sparta's had so many nicknames. Which one do you choose?
That is not
Seriously,
a lie.
though.
I think Colette's the only one that doesn't have a nickname.
Bitch.
I would love for you to call Colette that to her face.
No. Ripple dog Mary.
Well, there goes that Bane. Let me just punch you right in the face. She's much stronger than you, by the way. Especially if she enables prowess, punches you. No, she ain't fucking around.
Yeah.
She's literally punched Nyx in the face, although that was a little bit of a misunderstanding. And now she has uppercutted Sparta in the chin.
She already punched Alejandro once.
Oh yeah, she did sucker punch Alejandro.
Yeah,
That's
she
right. Because he
hit
mouthed
everybody.
off at her and she punched him right in the face.
Mhm.
I forgot about that.
Colette is ruthless.
Like I
She
said,
just whoops
bitch.
everybody's
Yeah,
ass.
it
She
makes
is a
sense.
bitch. I don't think you would want to call her that to her face though.
No.
I triple dog dare you to do it. See what happens.
Oh,
I think
God.
that would be pretty
would-
funny.
Thing.
it would end up with someone getting killed.
They probably wouldn't. I think you're right. I think two Brujas with their Banes, because she would be triggered by being antagonized, and that would trigger her Bane. And if she frenzied, she would attack him, and then that would trigger his Bane. And if he frenzied, you would literally just have two kindred frenzying and going at each other.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, unless one
Someone
of
would
you, whoever came out of the frenzy first, if you decided to stop, that would be what would stop it. But I have a feeling that there'd be some damage done in between.
I just had the funniest image
Uh-oh.
of Florida
Uh-oh.
going in and picking both of them up by the scruff of the neck and saying, "Enough, bad puppy."
No,
Yeah,
but
then,
that-
like,
but-
it's gonna
But
be
then
against.
the attention is gonna be turned to Sparta, and then you have two Brujas.
Attacking Sparta.
And then Nyx is like,
I'm not
outta
getting
here.
involved.
I'm fucking
Right.
out of here. You guys can like murder each other. I'm like, fleet the fuck out of the situation. No, hell no.
I honestly am curious to see who would win a fight between Alejandro and Colette.
That
I
would
think Colette
honestly-
would.
I think it's down to the roles.
I feel like he would use his celerity shit to get away from her.
Yeah.
And that would be what would hold her back. Power-wise, Colette is stronger than him. Much stronger than him.
Yeah.
But he can move and he can potentially dodge her and get away from her and shit like that with his celerity. So I feel like if he didn't have celerity, then I think she would be in a better position to win that.
If it was a full-on brawl, it would definitely be Colette. But if Alejandro uses, like Jenna was saying, if he uses his celerity, he can get away and start shooting.
Right.
Yep.
He can get distance between her easily. So I feel like that's the only kind of thing holding her back from possibly winning a fight between those two.
I agree.
Is because she's slower. She can't move like he can move, you know? And while she obviously she can shoot and hit targets, but if a target is moving faster than what she can see, she can't hit it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So
He'll be gone before she could even get her gun out.
yeah, I honestly, I think that he possibly he wouldn't overpower her, but he would win that situation. Overpower her in the sense of how his powers work.
Yeah.
Because it would be silly for a vampire that has celerity to not use that in a combat situation. You know what I mean? Like, it would be silly for you to just stand there and fight close up. Fuck that. I'd be getting distance and fighting from afar. And as soon as they try to come at me, I'd be moving. And you know what I mean? That's the nice thing about celerity is it is really nice for combat because you can move a lot. And you can move around and your enemy can't necessarily get to you. Especially if they don't have celerity or something like soaring leap or something. Like, Colette literally has nothing like that. So that's why I'm always like, she's like in the back just like jogging to keep up with you guys. Because she can run, but she can only run as fast as she can run. Like, that's it. You know, she's
like,
just...
Hey, Colette, I'll teach you like celerity if you teach me... What do they have? Fortitude? Do they have dominate? No.
Mm-mm.
No, they have potence. The fuck do they have? Presence and celerity. Right?
Yes. Potence, presence, and celerity. Because she has potence and presence.
And presence, yeah.
Yeah.
I'll be like, Colette, I'll teach you some celerity. You teach me some potence. So, like, I get a little stronger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny.
Throw those, like, fucking knives at, like, ultra power.
God.
You throw a knife straight.
She's like, slings it, like, flung, 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 and it just decapitates them from afar. She has these, like, special blades that are like, what are those things called that you throw and come back?
Like, I don't know, frisbee.
What is it?
But it's like the Xena,
Not
like,
gosh,
things, right?
what is it? Like, all...
It's not a shuriken. A
Fucking
chakram?
I don't know what the fuck that is.
I don't know. A
boomerang.
Oh, yeah.
She has boomerang knives, like, that are sharp, and she throws it, and it decapitates them, and it comes back, and she catches it. That would be dope as fuck.
Yeah.
We need to make that a thing.
I need to, like, I think Cena had it. Like, that was her thing. She had, like, the blades, and she would just throw it and, like, do that, I think.
That would be so fucking cool. A boomerang blade.
And that's the funny thing. That's the funny thing, right? Whenever we have to run and stuff like that, is like
chakram.
Alejandro always has it in the back of his mind, like, okay, we're running. Beast Boy over there can just fucking jump.
Art is bouncing.
And now we have one fucking anchor in the back there that is keeping us like, okay, I'm gonna have to go and fucking pick her up, don't I?
Yeah, but y'all never ask her. You literally never tell her or ask her. You just pick her up. And she's like, get the fuck off of me. Like, do you really think Colette's just gonna be like, oh yeah, hold me, daddy? She's gonna be like, get your fucking hands off of me. Do not touch me. Like, you know what I mean? Like, Colette is not gonna be the person that is okay with just being picked up and taken. You know what I mean? Like, because I don't even see Nyx really having a problem with that. She might just be like, well, she can do it herself. But like, if she's hurt or something, you know what I mean? Like, but even like, Colette's just not that kind of person. Like, she's not that personality to be like, get the fuck off of me. You know what I mean? Like, don't touch me.
After catching hands, he did ask her if he could pick her up and jump over.
Yeah, he learned his lesson. He's like, okay, sorry. I went about it the wrong way the last time. Is this okay? Listen, consent is important. Jeez.
True. To be fair. True.
And the reason why Colette was mad at you is because she was right there she was in between the target, in between the target, who was Travis, and the threat. She was in between that. And you removed her from the most strategical position of where you needed to be, was in between the threat and the target. And she's like, you fucking idiot. Like, and so that's what Colette's thinking, because that's how Colette's mind works. Like, she is a detective.
I knew she was thinking that, too.
You know what I mean? She's like, we were exactly where we needed to be. What are you doing? And now I have to run back to try to protect the target not getting away. Where I was already in position and ready to fight, and you removed me from, like, the best situation. So she was pissed.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, I knew she was, too. And
She's
Sparta
like, we're not running from this fight. We need to fight
Sparta
them.
was like, our job was to get in, grab Travis, and get out. And fighting in the house, we don't know how many people are here. Let's regroup outside. And he knew that he could get back to the door to catch the guy coming out. So it was like, we're getting the fuck out, whether you like it or not. And then he jumped back in to prepare for the guy coming out the door.
But yeah, I opened this thing and that was very loud.
But outside of character, I knew she was pissed as fuck. And she was not gonna be happy about it.
Yeah, she's like, dude, that we were in a good position. What are you doing?
I mean, I kind of feel bad for the security guard that everyone rolled so fucking amazing.
Yeah.
Right, you guys
Like,
life.
Jeez.
Straight up.
All three of you, Colette, Alejandro, and Nyx, you guys rolled amazing against that dude. He probably should have just been dead. But he took quite a lot of damage, that's for sure. He was in no position to continue fighting. And the other guy sort of gave up, which also was interesting.
I mean, if you have somebody biting you and tearing you on, like, and breaking your bones, you're not exactly going to want to keep fighting.
That's not true for everyone.
Mm-hmm. It really depends, like, how involved you are. Like, they could have just been, like, kind of hired,
right,
like,
hired help
that are like, yeah, I kind of don't necessarily want to die right now.
I don't get
so
paid
I'm just
enough
gonna,
for
like,
this.
Skedaddle, you know?
Yeah.
I pictured in my mind the both of them were like, these people are crazy. I don't get paid enough for this.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking.
Yeah, same.
I'm like, if one left, it must have been something like, okay, to set it up, they needed to, like, put somebody there to kind of, like, you know, be there in case, just to pretend, I guess, if it was, and it is probably a trap, a setup. But yeah, I think it would make sense for them to hire somebody that doesn't really matter at this point, you know? And there's plenty of clans that, yeah, sure, I'll do it for, like, a favor, or I'll do it for some money, for some protection, or what the fuck ever they need, you know? But it's more
or they
for,
could
like,
have just been ghouls.
Yeah, or ghouls, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Which I feel like if they were ghouls, then that guy definitely would have died.
Mm-hmm.
No, I mean, ghouls are stronger. They're stronger than humans. They are harder to kill than just a normal human. They're not as hard to kill as a vampire, but they are harder to kill than just a human. You can't just kill them. That's the nice thing about having ghouls, is they're stronger. Yeah. They take on powers when you transform them. So they don't just die on the spot.
What is it? They take, like, 1 dot of discipline?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like in between killing, like, a vampire and a human. It is harder to kill them. Mm-hmm. They can take a lot more damage than, like, an average human can take. If an average human got shot 4 times, they would not be getting up and moving at all.
Yeah. No.
But a ghoul might be able to handle and not die. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And be in the state that he was in, because he was very clearly like, okay, I can't keep fighting. I'm gonna die if I keep fighting. So he kind of stopped and was just, like, hunched over on the ground, like, oh God, help me, Tom Cruise. Well, any final thoughts as we wrap up today's discussion? Great job once again from everybody. Good times, good role play. I had a blast, just
Yeah,
like
and I
always.
feel like everybody is like learning and getting into the world, and I feel like after a few months, um, everybody is a lot more comfortable with the system
Mm-hmm.
and stuff like that. So, like you said before, like it's good because we're transitioning from like that babied moment where like you're like very involved with us and like kind of like stirring us in a certain direction.
Mm-hmm.
But it's going to be fun to kind of like be taking out like those extra set of wheels from the
Mm-hmm.
bicycle and actually learn to like,
Yep.
you know,
Training wheels
ride
are
it on
gone.
our, yep, training wheels are gone,
Yeah.
and we're gonna have to get our shit together and like figure it out ourselves, and I'm kind of excited about that.
I'm really
Absolutely.
excited. I'm excited for you guys to sort of gain that freedom, that confidence, and I think that it will take your characters to the next level of
Mm-hmm.
how they interact with the world, how they interact with each other. They'll be more confident, which I'm looking forward to the rest of this campaign, but I'm really looking forward to, chapter 2, season 2, whatever you want to call it, because we're likely going to be doing a time hop that would be a more significant time hop than like, 2 weeks go by. It will probably be more significant, which will give your time to step into that confidence and then start the second part of this chapter of like a new character, so to speak.
Yeah.
You know? That's what I'm looking forward to. But yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to seeing your characters become more independent and not rely so heavily on NPCs and things like that. It's like,
I mean, if you
Absolutely.
think about it, even like in games and shit, like you have more help at the beginning, and then at a certain point, like, you know, you kind of have to figure it out yourself.
yeah.
You're on your own, sink or swim.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. Well,
I mean,
go
I
ahead.
mean, season 2 is definitely gonna be interesting. With the things that we're doing in the background.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah.
Just so you guys know, we are, I'm just going to say it now, we are planning on moving once our new chapter starts, which we don't necessarily know yet, so stand by. But we are going to be moving everything over onto an actual Twitch channel for this and everything, all of the role play that we're doing. It's all going to be funneled under Night Prophecies, just like the YouTube channel. So that is something to look forward to. You can go, that link will bring you to the Twitch channel, which has some social medias and things. Obviously, we're just getting all of this started, so it's none of this is super active right now. It's just we're in like preparation stage, but we might as well start telling you guys so that
Oh yeah, no,
when
I'm
it's
definitely
time,
gonna have it. I think I already
everybody.
put it in my commands, right?
This is the
NPC.
command I copied that you
Yeah.
sent me.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah.
So
Once we start, which we'll announce when that actually is happening. For now, everything's going to stay the way that it is, but we'll announce whenever that actually starts happening. And we're going to switch to having everything there, so it's easier for us and it's easier for you guys to find it all in one place. And it's easier that way.
yeah.
Definitely,
ahead.
it's gonna be easier for the podcast, for the podcast as well, because then you will have the episode you can watch, and then if the podcast is happening, you can do both of them simultaneously without having to jump channels or wait for the YouTube
Yeah.
upload.
Yeah. Everything is going to be in the same place, even because like as discussed prior between us as a group, I am super interested in continuing to role play. I loved it. I've been loving it since I was like 14, 15 years old. Like it's been a prevalent like for me gaming it like I love this type of gaming. Like and fuck if I can make money and like get notoriety doing role play, that just sounds sick as fuck. You know what I mean? I would love to be like hired to be like on Critical Role or like in what is it? Something in Sandry.
Geek.
The,
Oh,
yes,
yeah.
yes, which also has the LA by Night
Right.
and like all the other ones,
Yeah.
like, and they're hired actors, hired role players. You know, they actually got some money out of it. And I mean, hey, you know, I don't want to write like Jenna,
Mm-hmm.
but I would love to be an actress in that way. Fuck, that's what I studied.
Have
Mm-hmm.
fun
You
with
know,
it. Get paid and
yeah,
have fun with it.
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. So that is going to be a channel in which we're not just going to do vampire. We are going possibly to eventually branch out to other tabletop role plays, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So that's
Yeah.
very exciting.
Yeah, it's definitely a big passion. Wow, Don's Country Store. Holy cow, it's been a long time. Hello, how are you? It's been a long time since I've seen you. But totally lost my train of thought. Oh, role play is a big passion of mine. And writing and like doing this kind of stuff. Like, I never have had experience storytelling or being like the DM or anything like that, but I absolutely love it. And it has like ignited this passion, reignited my passion for writing, and I have kind of my eye on the prize for the things that I want to achieve in my own personal life. And I'm really happy that like-minded people are with me, that we can, you know, come together and do fun stuff like this. So, but yeah, so in probably, I don't want to put a time frame, but it will likely be like a month or so roughly, but we don't have any date for when that's going to happen. We'll let you guys know when it gets closer.
Mm-hmm. I think like we're working on stuff behind the scenes. You know, we're just doing a lot of stuff behind the scenes, getting ready for that move.
Yeah.
So yeah, just
I mean, I feel like this
updated.
was kind of like the tryout to see if everybody was like comfortable with it, if everybody was liking it, if there was even interest
Right.
regarding it. And as it is evolving, like the last few times, like chat was really involved. There was like movement and like people coming in that were actually there for the RP and the story. It just made sense for us to like finally consolidate everything and like move forward in a more professional way.
Exactly.
And
yeah.
This was pretty much what we were literally talking about after the campaign on Saturday. We were just discussing all of this and seeing what we want to do next. So,
Future of Night Prophecies.
Yeah. Are you talking about this or this? There's two things. I'm not sure which one you're wearing. This is just a tapestry that just has like affirming things. You are beautiful. You are outstanding. You are smart. It just has like affirming.
It better have my fire.
And then this is notes from my family that they wrote me with pictures of my family. In the 90s, I ran mostly D&D, but vampire was an interesting setting. Yeah, we like the vampire world.
Yeah, it's
but
really nice.
That is all the time that we have, because I actually do have a day job, so I have to go do that. In the future, that won't be the case, hopefully. But thank you guys for hanging out. Yes, it was so good to see you, Don. Thank you for stopping by. I'm glad you stopped by. I'm glad to see you're doing well. And we'll see you guys over on Fenice's channel on Saturday for the next session of the role play. And we'll see you guys there.
Episode 10, baby.
Whoop, whoop.
Hell yeah.
All right. Thank you guys for hanging out with us today. And we'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye, guys.